Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, we welcome you in. Today's new drug is we are close, kids. We are about 8 days away from the draft, one of the most celebrated days in sports, certainly if you're in an NFL town. We'll certainly talk about that coming up today on the program as well. Frank Frangie, Hays Carlyon, JJ LaSelva with you. A lot to do on the program today, including a really fun Sports in Courts with our friend Brett Hastings, who will be here in studio. We have not talked much about the baseball world. We've tried to get to it a little bit, JJ. We touched on it just for a second in headlines yesterday. What has surprised you most about this? Not just the Braves. What has surprised you most about this this first, month or so?
Honestly, I've really only been watching the Braves.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess not too much.
Yeah, right.
Everybody that's supposed to be good is pretty good. Everybody that's supposed to be bad is pretty bad.
Yeah, the Braves, I think, are the biggest surprise. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be.
I think the Braves are the biggest surprise in baseball. I think, and again, we got a draft coming up, so we're not going to talk a lot of baseball. But I think the Braves are the biggest surprise. I think the National League West has a chance to be maybe as good a division we've ever. Now it's early as we've maybe ever had. I mean, if your people are paying, I'm like you. I pay attention to my team, and my team sucks so bad. So they're not going to win very much. They'll win when Skeens pitches, not many other times. So, but it'll be fun. It's a fun start, I think. So we'll certainly track that a little bit. The Braves going to bounce back. You don't think so, right? You're standing.
Just lost again today. They're terrible. They scored one run and it was on a solo home run in the ninth. I don't know why anyone would think otherwise at this point.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We're on 2 years now.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it is what you see, right? Sometimes it's don't talk yourself into it.
Yeah, don't think too hard about it.
Yeah. Sometimes it is. So it'll be interesting to see. The NBA playoffs are set. We haven't talked much about that, but the play-in games are behind us. Certainly in the East. And how about the Warriors are in? But boy, it feels weird, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel weird?
They're old.
They are old, and they did. Some teams get old and go away. Sometimes teams don't get old because they replenish with young.
Steph's too good to go away.
So they're kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
They're too.
But I expect them to win the next series, honestly. I mean, they're the 7th seed against the 2nd, so you might assume that they're like way overmatched against Houston. But no, I think Houston's really young. They're inexperienced when it comes to the playoffs. And it's still Steph and Jimmy Butler. And, Draymond on defense. I saw him struggle against Memphis last night. They almost blew it late. Yeah. But I just expect that veteran presence to be able to get through at least this round against Houston. And they're a big betting favorite, too, which I was surprised by. I thought it'd be closer to even, but they're like a 2-1 favorite right now.
And they're who everybody knows. So I think sometimes when you're who everybody knows, that affects it a little bit. So we'll see what winds up happening. But yeah, we'll see. It's the Rockets. They're the 2 seed. The Warriors are the 7 seed now after winning, so we'll see. And
the West is going to be fun, man.
Yeah, and
every single series is, to me, a toss-up.
And as far as those 2 7s go, you just heard Max talk about it. The Celtics play the Magic. I don't follow it close enough to know. Obviously, the Celtics are much better. They're one of the best teams in basketball. But I know there's some people around here that follow the Magic. RJ does a great job on his show, Open Gym. I know Hacker's a big Magic fan. You know way better than me. Do they have any chance or no?
No. No way.
They're going to get swept?
Maybe, probably, but maybe get a game. I mean, no way they win 2 games. I would be absolutely shocked if they win 2 games.
Okay.
But it's just fun if you're a Magic fan to even be in the playoffs at this point.
That's right. And so I mean, the Celtics are the 2 seed. They would play the Knicks, who are the 3 seed if everybody, if chalk holds. Everybody's chasing Cleveland in the East.
Yeah, they're the 2 seed, but they're certainly the favorite. To get out of the East.
Yeah, so including over Cleveland, who had just an extraordinary season.
Year,
so anyway, so we're that time of year now where baseball's a month in. The Masters is behind us. The NBA playoffs proper are about to be set here. So certainly there's a lot of other things going on in the world other than the NFL draft, which is what we follow so close around here. What I will tell you is this. The draft's getting close, bro. I think people are excited about it. I think people are excited about the fact that the draft is right around the corner. So what we're going to do on the program today is we're going to break down every position group of the Jags' current roster. We're going to start with the wide receiver room today, who we expect the starters to be, what the strengths of the room are, what the weaknesses of the room are, how the draft could impact the room, and we will do all the rooms. We will do the wide receiver room, the running backs room, the offensive line room, We might mix tight ends in there with wide receivers. We're going to do D-line. We're going to do linebackers. We're going to do secondary, probably lump secondary altogether. And just get an idea of what. And today we'll start at about 4:40 today. We'll start with the wide receiver room because I think it's interesting. Of the positions that I think they will address at some point in the draft. Look, they got 10 picks. They may address all the positions. But of the positions I'm convinced that they will address in the draft, I am probably as convinced at wide receiver as much as I am anything other than probably defensive line and cornerback. Hays, if you had to guess, if you had to predict the positions you're most convinced they're addressing in the draft, and that can include because who you think they're taking at 5. Give me defensive line for sure. Give me the 2 or 3 you're convinced they're probably going to address. If you were a betting man, what would it be?
I definitely think they'll take an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I definitely think they'll take a corner. I think they'll take edge and defensive tackle. I think they'll take a receiver. I think they'll take a running back. I think they'd like to take a tight end.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll rush it. I think that'll have to be where like a guy's maybe on the board that they just can't believe is there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, of the 10 picks, I mean, I think you can easily earmark 8 positions.
Yeah, I would think so too. And if you assume, here's what we know: they're not taking kicker or punter, and it's probably not likely they're taking quarterback. So so specialists are out. You would think quarterback. You never know if a young quarterback's there and late in the day, on the day Saturday maybe, but you wouldn't think so. So you can kind of eliminate those spots. So today we're going to start with the wide receiver room at 4:40. Going to look at the room. Going to look at all the players that are there, the players that are still there, what they did in free agency, De'Ami Brown, obviously, who we think will start, who plays outside, who plays inside, who's better than they were last year, what our expectations are. And every day, usually around 4:40, between now and the draft, we're going to go through a room. And I want to go through where I think the Jags are in that spot. So we'll have some fun doing that today on the program. So be listening for that at 4:40. Before that, Brett Hastings is going to come by with Hays, what I think will be one of the most interesting sports in courts we've had in a long time. Brett and I were talking today a little bit. Well, texting today. Nobody really knows what these contracts say. But I still, my Nico question is, could Tennessee have said, no, you were under contract to us. You can't just go play for Oregon or whoever. And nobody really knows because those contracts aren't available. But you have to wonder, don't you?
You do. And, again, I think part of it was Tennessee maybe was, wanting him to go and really didn't care about the caveats involved because they were so put off by the demand. But yeah, I think this will be a good example for teams moving forward in terms of trying to make those contracts a little bit more ironclad if they're able to. But again, this is when you don't have a collective bargaining agreement, it's all going to be, each individual contract is going to be a fingerprint, and it's going to be up to the school and player how much control they're willing to give up. I mean, I would think it'd be hard to get a player to say, yes, I will sign this and give you my word that I'm not going to look around. Yeah, I just think it's going to be difficult. So until college football has a CBA, which is years away, I think you'll continue to see this. And yeah, I mean, I would imagine these contracts are fairly flimsy.
Yeah, and so Brett will be here, and again, Brett has already made it clear to me we don't know them. We don't have them in front of us. But there's also some common sense elements here, so some common sense. So that comes up in just a couple minutes. We'll do it right after this. I saw a cool story today that I think is really interesting. Charlie Ward's going to be a college head coach.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great story?
It's a great story.
I mean, Charlie Ward is one of the most Charlie Ward was a great player. For whatever reason, maybe because it was so long ago, it was 1993. Whatever reason, we don't talk about the greatness of Charlie Ward enough. We talk about Tebow and Werfel. We talk about Jameis. We talk about we talk about Dion and some of the great Seminoles. We talk about some of the great Hurricanes. You ever know? We don't. Charlie Ward was a great player.
Without a doubt.
I mean, one of the greatest college football players. He was Michael Vick good.
It's hard to believe it's been like 32 years since he won the Heisman.
But do you feel that way for some reason?
I do.
And he played in the NBA for a great time after that.
I think he's underappreciated. I think part of that is he's a quiet person.
Correct.
And so he doesn't self-promote, never has. And And so maybe that's something in terms of it, but he's a first-class individual, and FAMU is lucky to have him coaching their men's basketball team.
I'm really going to have fun. He's 54 years old, so he's got plenty of time to coach. I'm gonna enjoy watching that. Charlie Ward, I'm telling you, and this comes from a Gator now. Okay? I'm a Florida guy through and through, but watching Charlie Ward in the early 90s, talk about ahead of his time. You've made this point before I made it. It was a great point. I wish I'd said it. If Charlie Ward played now, if Charlie Ward played in the last 10 years, when athletic quarterbacks and running quarterbacks are all the rage, how many Heismans would he win?
He's so much better than Kyler Murray even ever thought about being.
So much better.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but Charlie Ward, the new head coach at Florida A&M, has been a long time high school basketball coach. I think it's a great story. I just think it's a great story. And you're right. Part of it is he is Danny Werfel, gentle spirited, soft spoken, great teammate, very spiritual. There's a lot. Werfel and Ward were 3 years apart in college, but kind of the same guy in many fronts. Yet Werfel, we talk more about him than we do Ward. We talk more about Jameis in prime time and Derek Brooks and a lot of the Seminoles more than we do Charlie Ward. So I'm glad to see Charlie Ward back.
And he wasn't a caretaker on that team. He was a playmaker.
No question.
That wasn't a Heisman of I guess we'll give it to him.
It wasn't Eric Crouch.
He's on the best team.
Right.
He was the reason.
Correct.
That they won the national title.
So that's kind of a cool story. So we'll certainly get to that coming up in a bit. But let's start with sports and courts. We'll take a break. The Nico situation and what rights do these schools have to expect these guys to live up to their contracts? And how would you approach it legally if you were the school? Brett does such a great job on this kind of stuff. He'll join us in a minute. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Your front row seat to history in the making.
The Florida Gators, they are the 2025 national champions.
Your home for the most play-by-play is 1010XL.
Get ready for the best prices ever on all diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets at Beard's Diamonds. For 7 days, April 21st through 27th, you will get up to 40% off. Yes, 40%. Locally owned Beard's Diamonds always beats the big corporate store prices. But next week, they're taking value to a whole new level. All diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets are on sale. Big time. Best prices ever. You save up to 40%. Don't miss this first time ever buying opportunity. Next week only. And only at Beard's Diamonds, St. John's Town Center. Shop local. Shop Beard's.
I'm Holt Harrell with Harrell & Harrell. Choosing a law firm after an accident is an important decision. So how do you decide? With so many messages on air, I know it can all sound the same. At Harrell & Harrell, we believe what sets us apart is our commitment to you. When you've been injured in an accident, you need help from someone you know, someone you can trust. Harrell & Harrell, a name you know, a name you trust. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Offices, Jacksonville.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit cssoutdoor.com.
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, innovative design, and water sports features, the Yamaha AR195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear, deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride Now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
1010XL covers every angle of the draft.
That is what I do.
Listen for draft previews brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Big Brothers Big Sisters. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, the wings are fresh, the drinks are cold, and the game is always on. With 30-volt flavors, ice-cold beer, and handcrafted cocktails, there's no better place to kick back and catch every play. Escape the ordinary. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today, 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Hey, it's Matt Hays. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread, carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
Direct from Broadway, MJ, the Tony Award-winning musical, is starting something all across America. Get tickets now to what the Washington Post calls a runaway hit. MJ the Musical, playing Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts April 22nd through 27th. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. And now, this week's Scholar Athlete of the Week. Brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists and the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234 on 1010XL.
All right, it's time to talk sports and courts. Our buddy Brett Hastings is here, as always, on a Wednesday to get into all kind of fun issues. Before we do, have you calmed down now from the Gator Championship? Are you still flying high? What are you doing? Where are you?
I still kind of wonder, did it happen?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like you're like, wow, that was really just so good.
Yeah.
Such a fun run, you know? And then it's kind of like a car wreck because now all of a sudden you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Where'd all the sports go, man?
But we had a good time hanging out together in San Antonio, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, so I want you, I'm going to preface this. I know these contracts aren't available like real contracts are, but what has mystified me in the Nico, and I've quit trying to say his last name because I'll get it wrong, but what has mystified me in the Nico circumstance, Brett, truly, is if he went to Tennessee because he was guaranteed $8 million, which is $2 million a year, and if they paid that $2 million his first 2 years, okay, which is his redshirt year and last year, and now he wants $4 million. In the NFL and Major League Baseball and NBA, you see holdouts all the time, and they negotiate. But if a guy plays for the Atlanta Braves and holds out, he can't just say, well, you didn't meet my demands, I'm going to go play for the Astros. So why can Nico do that? And I know you may not have the contract in front of you, but the question makes sense, right?
Right. Because he's not an employee, right?
But it's still a contract.
well, it's a contract, but it's not an employment contract. If I give Frank Frangie money for his name, image, and likeness, and this is the thing, this is why we want to see all these contracts. There is an article on ESPN that I had an opportunity to read where they were able to review a bunch of these contracts and work with some people in anonymity, and we could have some direction. What's interesting is the Big Ten and the SEC sent out a memorandum that said, hey, guys, this is what your contracts should look like, right? But when we talk about contracts, we got to first think, who are the contracts between? Tennessee was not a part of the contract with Nico, right?
I see.
And Name, Image, and Likeness Collective was going to pay him $8 million that he could earn over 4 years to use his name, image, and likeness, which is a sham, right? It's a sham.
But that's a good point. His contract was from Rocky Top Victorious or whatever. It wasn't with the school. Now that's going to change.
That's going to change. And one of the things that my understanding is all the new contracts say, this contract will remain enforceable, and if they're paying, it's during the time of the house settlement, and it's predicated on the house settlement staying, right? Because then what happens is then the universities can be a part of the payment that goes towards the players, okay? But when you think about it, say you're a media host, or we have tons of really successful salespeople that listen, right? And there are a lot of people that one of the most important things that dictates their life is they have an employment agreement, right? Most employment is at will. And if you don't have a contract, then you could be terminated for really any reason, right? As long as it isn't on the basis of sex, gender, those types of things. Once you have an employment contract, there can be different provisions, and there can be what? A covenant not to compete, right? There could be a restriction. So right now, these name, image, and likeness contracts all say, hey, this is not an employment agreement, right? Because now you're not having to get into a lot of the other things that you may have to do for employment, okay? So there are, as I understand it, just from reading media reports, there are people that have sanctions in different ways that they could be penalized if they were to leave and not use it for their name, image, and likeness. But at the end of the day, just legally speaking, it's all a joke, because they're all for what? To pay for play. Tom Condren, super Gator guy. He's excited. He says, here's $1 million for NIL.
Gary Condren. Yeah.
Gary Condren, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tom Condren's the agent,
He's the
right?
agent, yeah, right. Gary Condren.
I do that all the time. But the reality is he spending $1 million, right? Because he wants to get somebody's name, image, and likeness, and he wants Tommy Hawk and Walter Clayton to come out and help him get construction contracts? Yeah. No. And so the theory of this is that maybe Gatorade or Chevrolet would partner, these friends of the university. Yeah. It's not. They've set up these NIL collectives because they knew initially, based on the legal precedent, that one, they can't pay them to play, so they can't treat them like employees. And the way to get around it was O'Bannon and the other stuff said, hey, you can't allow these players not to profit on their name, image, and likeness. So right now we've got just sort of a weird whole setup that it goes. Now, there is an $8 million contract for name, image, and likeness that pays $2 million a year over each of those times, right? Now, we know that it's pay for play. We also know that the portal isn't supposed to act like free agency, but it sure is, right, at this point. Now, I don't know. We can't see Nico's contract, but just based on the media reports, we got a sense of, well, we're not going to have to pay him, right? This isn't like Deshaun Watson. They'd like to say, see you, buddy, go, and not have the other portions of it. But Hays really went to the heart of the issue. What we don't have now is a collective bargaining agreement. So we're saying, hey, we wonder what these contracts say. They all say something different right now. And so that's really why it's pretty wild in college football. There really aren't contracts in the NFL. Do you know that? Agents don't have to do that much. The terms are slotted in, and there is a collective bargaining agreement is really a master contract. Okay. It's a contract that stays in place. You could choose to be in the union or not. It just wouldn't be wise for you as a player. You would want to avail yourself to that. But what happens right now if Nico and Tennessee have a grievance? Who knows, right? the contract isn't with Tennessee. The contract is with the collective. So, as far as discipline, termination, notice, renegotiation, all of that, those are individual terms existing in different contracts throughout the country. And we know they're pretty different because the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC would say, guys, here's a memorandum as to how we think things should work.
Does the revenue sharing change any of this?
Yes, I think we get close. I think there should be more standardization in the way that the contracts are set up. The one thing that was interesting, guess what every one of these contracts says? The terms of this contract are confidential.
Okay, right.
So these things get out to get reported, but you don't see Nico confirming that. You don't see Tennessee confirming that, right? Okay. We all know in the NFL who gets paid what. So that's this one piece that continues to stay out there. And I think what we will see with this settlement is more transparency on who's getting paid what.
So let me ask you this, and I know you don't definitively know the answer because everything is so confidential, but you're a very good lawyer and you've done contracts your whole career. So let me ask you this. DJ Lagway, who we know by all accounts has been paid a bunch of money by Florida. He's getting I have no idea what it is, but it's a bunch of money.
He's a multimillionaire.
Yeah. What if DJ Lagway said, I'm going back to Texas. I'm going to go play for Texas A&M. Coach Napier, thanks for the time. I love it. You've been good to me, but my home's in Texas.
You're playing with my emotions right now.
I did it just to see if you break down. But hang on, serious question. I could use anybody. I'm going back to Texas A&M. What legal recourse do you think? And I know you don't have the contract in front of you, but common sense, wouldn't Florida have some legal recourse? You think?
I mean, so, a lot of times we look at what would be in a contract, something like liquidated damages.
Yeah.
That says, hey, if you fail to provide your name, image, and likeness in accordance with this, here's the amount of the damages. Okay.
Right.
I don't know it.
So they could sue him.
While we were in San Antonio, I met somebody who was a part of negotiating that contract.
Okay.
They wouldn't tell me the specifics.
Look at you hanging out with all the important
he would be
people.
there for 3 years.
Yeah. And again,
and that there were contractual requirements.
Right.
And he wanted to take them on.
Yeah.
Okay. But that he would be there for 3 years. So I don't know what those are.
And I know.
Again, that's conjecture, but I do believe that's the case. And I do know that with some of these other players, there are buyout provisions and there are other things in the contracts. There's a lot of different ways that you can structure a contract, and when we talk about the NFL and other pro sports, there really isn't. And that's why we have walk-offs and we have strikes and we have other things, because that's a master contract negotiation. But who knows what's going on at UNLV at Washington State.
All right, so let me ask you both this. Hays from a sports broadcaster standpoint, Brett from a lawyer standpoint. Don't you both think that, if Nico was better, he wasn't very good. He was just okay. I said this when Florida played Tennessee. I thought he was the third best quarterback in the game. I thought Mertz and Lagway were both better in that game, watching the game. Anyway, so had he been better and had he been a guy Tennessee really wanted to keep? And I'm not going to ask you whether or not they'd come up with the $4 million. That's a different question. But if they didn't want to come up with the $4 million and he's the guy they really wanted to keep, wouldn't they have fought it legally? Don't you? So Brett, let me start with you, Hays. Brett will give us the legal answer. Well, what's your opinion?
I think they would have fought
right.
it.
If they
Absolutely.
wanted to,
if they felt like he was one of the best players in the country,
right? They'd have right. So Brett, wouldn't you think if you're representing Tennessee, there's some you could find something in that contract that says, no, you're not going to just go play for Oregon. If you want to quit our team, you quit our team, but we've got your rights for another year or two.
I think you could get damages. I don't know that you're ever going to be able to have them enforce an order to make them play
or not play somewhere else.
Correct.
If a great pro player holds out, you can't make him play, but you damn sure can keep him from playing anywhere else.
Well, think of this from a team perspective, right? We had talk, right, before, and I said on here, I think Florida State and Clemson rang the ACC's bell because they were worried about it. But they were talking about going and playing in another conference while what?
Well,
the old conference owned their media rights.
Right.
Those are just the name, image, and likeness for an entire team, worth a lot more money than Nico. And so how teams and universities make their money, but you could go play somewhere else and have this litigation continue to go on. And are you going to be enjoined from playing there and stuff? It would really come down to the contract, but the reality is the market, right? You got to have somebody to go. Tennessee's in a really tough place. I mean, if you look at these media reports, this appears to be, you know what? We're not going to be held hostage. We've got to send a message. We're not going to let the inmates run the asylum type of a thing. We're going to part ways with this guy. But I think they were all in on him.
Yeah.
And I think they were wanting to try to work it out and hope that they could go and work it out. But they've clearly at least made a decision, it appears, to say, you go do what you need to do, and we'll see who we could go and get in the portal.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, I think you got to set a standard, particularly with college kids and your college team, that you miss practice, you're gone.
Right.
You can't miss practice because you don't like your contract and then be welcomed back. I think they look. We've all said this. We've all, whether you love the Vols, hate the Vols, or somewhere in between, everybody I know that follows is either involved in college athletics or follows it has applauded Tennessee.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So
but to your point, if it's Garrett Nussmeier, LSU probably comes up with $2 more million.
Correct. Or number one, they probably come up with the money. Or if they don't come up with the money, they fight legally to let him go play for Alabama.
Right.
To not allow.
Right.
That's the point.
Well, like, I mean, how much is all of that, right? Like, he played great against Northwestern State, Central Michigan, whoever. And when he got into conference play, I didn't think he was. I think Tennessee got to the playoff because they had the easiest schedule. That's the next thing I think people are going to do. What goes on in the NFL? Hey, look, Florida's got DJ Lagway. They have a horrible schedule, right? So there needs to be competitive balance. They can't set these schedules up years in advance. All of those types of things, I think, are going to come in. And the first thing will be, can there be limitations on spending, right? And I think you can do that and make that still safe from an antitrust perspective. And that's what the universities and the conferences are going to want. And that's what I think could come out of this House settlement.
I think what we've learned is this thing remains a moving target, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I don't think the schools or the university presidents, I don't think want the players to unionize. So I think the football coaches are irate and the basketball coaches are irate, and the athletic director has to deal with it. But the university president is like, look, figure it out. I don't care. But we're not going to try to get to the negotiating table. We don't want a CBA. Because then the $20 million is going to become $100 million.
And that's the whole reason I believe the SEC, the Big Ten, and everybody said, wait a second. We could pay the players direct now, and they're not defined yet as employees. We'll take that for right now. And that's what it comes down to this. It's not really pay for play, right? Or is it? We all know it is. Yeah. It's not really name, image, and likeness. So that's where House is a little bit weird, but I think both sides said, okay, because the players will realize more money. These past players will. Current players will realize more money, and the universities can go have some control because this was killing Scott Strickland and all these other guys that these deals were being cut by a third party.
Well, now at least there will be, at least it looks like we're closer to having some rules and regulations. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're closer than we have been. Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. That's great work, Brett. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it. When we come back, we are going to look at the wide receiver room of the Jags and how it might be affected by the draft. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
The calm voice of reason.
Thank you for playing. Should we or should we not follow the advice of the galactically stupid
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Are you crazy?
Weekday mornings on 1010XL.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie. If you have a sweet tooth like me, the sweetest desserts in town come from Spoonful Bakery. Spoonful is an online bakery. They deliver boxes of assorted desserts right to your home or office. They're so good, and they make for great gifts for friends or clients. And if you want custom orders, wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or catered desserts for an event, they are the best. Log on to spoonful-bakery.com or call them at 904-515-4984. That's Spoonful Bakery for the sweetest desserts in town.
MOV-ING. Southside Kia is moving. Our moving sale is on right now. Help us clear new Kias out. Our current selection's got 200 plus Kias on the lot. Hurry to save big with us. New rides starting at just $20,000 bucks. Plus, bring your tax refund today. We'll double it up to $5K. MOV-ING. Get to Southside Kia this spring. Online at SouthsideKiaJax.com. Get your next ride at Southside. For complete details, call 904-325-9208.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Spring and summer are coming. Will your pool deck be ready? Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville has you covered. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings come in a variety of colors, adding safety, durability, and style to your outdoor spaces. Plus, they offer slip-resistant solutions for inside your home, too. Long-lasting, affordable, and built to protect your family. Don't wait. Call today for a free quote, 904-466-1839. And follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here, and it's time to make those summer break plans. Clay County is calling. From paddleboarding on Doctors Lake to reeling in the big one on Black Creek or cruising the St. Johns River. There's no better place to dive into warm weather fun. Enjoy live music, local festivals, food trucks, and fireworks lighting up the night. Discover scenic parks, hidden trails, and must-visit local gyms. Your summer adventures start here. Visit exploreclay.com.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Mike Dempsey here. Look, you know, it's been 10 years that I've been vouching for my guys at Dandy Foods, and for a decade, I'm proud of my association with a local family business. They make a great product. I've made no secret that I was a customer long before Dandy ever came on board on 1010XL. But I'm thinking I'm due a little Dandy swag, maybe a little love. How about a Dandy t-shirt, a ball cap? So how about it, Thompson family? What do you got going on over there? In the meantime, I'm going to keep eating those delicious tuna salad sandwiches. So guys, keep helping me out and grab a Dandy sandwich today.
Interest rates have plummeted. It's time to call Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here, and if you're looking to get cash out of your home equity, refinance out of a high rate, or do a home improvement project, Loan Pronto can make it happen in a matter of just days. Take advantage of this opportunity and get tens or even hundreds of thousands out of your home equity. Pay off all your credit cards. Pay off your car loan. The average homeowner cuts their monthly bills by $1,000. Get more info at loanpronto.com. Inflation and higher costs have put a lot of people in a stressful financial situation. But if you own a home, there's a way out. Loan Pronto has multiple options that can help you get the financial freedom you deserve. Most homeowners get their cash in less than 2 weeks, and most don't even need an appraisal. Do the smart thing. Stop paying insane rates on those credit cards. Wipe them all out. Get a lower mortgage rate. Get some money for that home improvement project. Do it all by going to loanpronto.com or call 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back to a Coyle & Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it too.
Let me tell you about my friends from Coyle & Sons. Guys, they do a terrific job. They've done this forever now. Since 1927, they've been the fence company in Jacksonville. Commercial fencing for so very long, but now residential fencing too, and man, are they good at it. I told you this story last week. We're putting up this big batter's eye, which is a big black wall of sorts behind center field at our ballpark, our walk-off ballpark. So there's a car dealership behind, and the lights, you couldn't see it. If you ever watch a Major League Park or college park, you see the big batter's eye. It's right behind center field, any Major League game you ever watch. Well, that's so the lights don't come through and the batters can see the ball. And we didn't know how to do it. We talked to Sportsfield. We talked to Beacon Athletics. We talked to more of these national companies, and we just couldn't get the price right. We couldn't get the deal right. So my buddies at Coyle & Sons, they're a fence company. They said, give us a crack at it. And now if you see that ballpark, it's got this beautiful batter's eye. It's the talk of baseball community here in town, and my friends at Coyle & Sons did it. That's how creative they are, and that's how much they want to serve the customer. I really mean that. Call them today, 904-356-4821. That's 356-4821. You can go on coiljacks.com and find out all about them. And again, they've done it since 1927. They're now doing residential fencing, so if you need a fence in your yard, if you need a fence with your business, I'm telling you, nobody's better than Coyle & Sons. 904-356-4821. Always a Coyle & Sons Wednesday here on the program. All right, let's talk about the draft. I want to do a position room, Hayes, every day from now until next Thursday. We'll start with the wide receiver room. Big picture. Is it where you want it? Is it strengths and weaknesses of that room as you look into it?
I think the room as a whole is average. And I would get to that point by saying Brian Thomas Jr. is an A+, and I'd say the rest of them are about a D. Now, I'm not on the De'Ami Brown train like they are, and so hopefully I'll be proven wrong and he'll be outstanding. But, for him to be your number 2 receiver, which is what I think he would be if they played today, I think there's a strong amount of risk in that. And to me, there's really not much beyond that. I mean, Parker Washington is, to me, just sort of a guy in the NFL. I don't think that he's a really high quality receiver. And then beyond that, I mean, Gabe Davis is, a total zero. We have no idea what he's even going to be able to contribute. We don't know if he's even really in their plan. I mean, they can't cut him because it doesn't do them any financial good, but maybe he's somebody that they get into camp and just try to get a conditional 7th in 2038 for him. I mean, just something to get rid of him. It doesn't seem like he's in the plan, and there's really no, I would say, young in-house. I mean, you look at the receivers on the roster: Cephas, Austin Trammell, David White Jr.
Right.
I don't think there's much there. I mean, those guys are all pretty much unproven, but I don't think there's any buzz that will wait until this guy gets more reps. So you've got a star in Brian Thomas Jr. That's great. You've got a legit one, but I don't think you have anything beyond that.
So let me go through the positions specifically, because I don't completely disagree with anything you said. Brian Thomas Jr. is your star. He's one of your outside receivers. If they played today, De'Ami Brown would be the other outside receiver. That's the signee from the free agent signee. They gave him a 1-year contract for $10 million. Parker Washington, if they played today, would be your slot. 2 players you drafted, one you took in the first round, one you signed a free agency. But De'Ami Brown's a guy you're kind of betting on what you think is going to happen. You're betting on the come a little bit here. So you're really in a position with him that, other than last postseason, haven't seen it a lot. But those are your 3 guys. Gabe Davis is an interesting circumstance. He's a guy that we had high hopes for when he came here last year. Didn't do much. Now, did he not do much because at times none of the offense did much? Did he not do much because Trevor had very little time? We all know by now that the line wasn't good. They couldn't run the ball. The passing game became predictable for that reason. If there had been more of a fluid, because he was a good player in Buffalo. He never was a high-volume guy. Scored a lot of touchdowns, but never was a high-volume catch guy. Is he better than he played last year because of all the other circumstances surrounding the offense? We don't know that. He's still on the team. He's the intriguing one. Austin Trammell and Josh Cephas and David White, they're on the roster. Nobody expects them to make much of an impact. So your impact is your first 3 guys, Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, and your slot Parker Washington, and then the wild card that's Gabe Davis. But I agree with Hayes. You need way more than that there, which is why I would not be shocked if they go high in the draft with a wide receiver. Maybe not 5, but certainly a first day or two, a first 2-day pick, meaning the third round, would not surprise me. I think this is a position of need. And I think it's a position, and again, if they're right about De'Ami Brown, and I think they might be. I mean, I went back and watched his postseason. He was pretty good. And he stretched the field, and he got behind people the way Brian Thomas did most of the season, Brian Thomas Jr. So, and I do think Parker Washington's a good player. I think right now he's their punt returner. I think right now he's their slot guy. So I'm okay with the top 3, but it doesn't scare anybody. They've got to get better at wide receiver. So I would say A, B, C, D, F in terms of needs. I would say A-. I would say that's an A. If you list them in needs, if we're going to grade the room every day in terms of what they need, I would say in the A range, just like you did.
Yeah, I think so too. I kind of went through a 7-round mock today just to kind of get a handle on it. And I based mine on who's available on the Athletics' Dane Brugler did a 7-round mock. And so I just find that to be a little bit more reliable than the ones online where sometimes you'll get like Travis Hunter at 18. You know,
Right.
well, we know that's not going to happen. So, and so in mine, I didn't go receiver until the 2nd pick in the 4th round. And having done it that way, I would move it up. Like, and again, this was sort of, you know, we were kind of talking with, you know, James Gladstone and Liam Cohen yesterday, and Gladstone said, you know, we do this almost every day. We press the button.
Yeah.
That's the selection. And then we go home and we sort of sleep on that decision. And then we come back the next day and kind of talk about how we felt about it.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I'll try that. And next week I'll put out a 7-round mock right before the draft. But I took a stab at it today. And again, based on the guys that were available at each pick, again, just using Brugler's 7-round mocks, I think he does a good job of knowing kind of the range where players are going to go for the most part. And so I think in doing that, I would move receiver up. Maybe, I mean, I took a corner in the 2nd round. I thought in terms of guys that were available at that point. And
that's a different conversation we're having today.
Yeah.
But availability is a big part of it.
Yeah.
No question.
But I kind of, in going through this exercise, was like, I need to move receiver up from the last pick in the 4th round.
Yeah.
And so I would think that you'll see a receiver. I would be surprised if they don't take one with their first 3 selections. So definitely by close of business Friday night,
it sure feels that
I'd
way.
be surprised if they haven't taken a receiver.
I would be too, Hays. It sure feels that way. And again, of the existing guys, let's measure where they are, where they're headed. Again, the expected starters if they played today. Brian Thomas Jr. outside, De'Ami Brown outside, Parker Washington in the slot. Brian Thomas Jr. is headed for an extraordinary career. I think most people would agree with that. Parker Washington's going to be a very good player, but I don't sense that Parker Washington's headed to Pro Bowls. I think he's going to be a good player for him. I think he could be, the ceiling is what Christian Kirk was. The floor is who knows, but I think he's a slot receiver, good return guy, but that's what he is. De'Ami Brown's a question mark. Could be very good. Who knows? So you got a future really good player, another guy that's going to be a darn solid player, but maybe not a star, and one guy you just don't know, and Gabe Davis, who knows what he really is. And that's really it. Again, Josh Cephas is on the roster. Austin Tremmel's on the roster. David White Jr. is on the roster. Jack's the guy from here. But that's kind of it, okay, for now. So, yeah, you need volume there. So I would say if we're going to grade the need, and I'm going to grade the need of every room between now and next Thursday. If we're going to grade the need, I would grade this need as an A-. And I would tell you, I think you've got a Pro Bowler, a future Pro Bowler on your team now. You've got a guy that I think is good. I think in Gabe Davis, even if Gabe Davis becomes more like what he was in Buffalo, he's not a future Pro Bowler. I don't think Parker Washington is. And I like Parker. I think Parker's a good player. I think he's tough. I think he's smart. I love having him on the team. I hope he's on the team for a long time. But I don't think he's headed to a lot of Pro Bowls. That's not my read. And I got De'Ami Brown, who I don't know. So I would say A-. So that would be high on my grades in terms of need list, and I don't think that's going to change. In fact, it might be one of the higher grades of on the need list that we're going to do on a daily basis.
Well, and this is a thing, too, that I keep coming back to, is you have to at least go through the hypothetical of, at each position, what happens if we lose our best guy at this position? Well, if something happens to Brian Thomas Jr., it's an expansion level group of receivers. I mean, in my opinion, De'Ami Brown's never caught more than 35 passes in a season.
If you mean what they have right now, there's no question that's correct.
Yeah, so that's a big concern. I mean, if that's the drop off, if you lose again, and Brian Thomas Jr. could have a sophomore slump, maybe the league catches up to him a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he is on his way to basically putting up 1,400 yards every season that he plays, but you can't discount it because he's not 27. He hasn't been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and with the consistent year in and year out high level production. So I think he's going to have that, but he isn't there yet. But I mean, you have to go through what is the room going to look like if he gets injured.
Yeah, and
if he gets injured, I don't know who you're going to run your passing attack through.
And here's the thing. De'Ami Brown, Gabe Davis might find new life. De'Ami Brown might be everything they think he is when they gave him the money. Parker Washington's a solid player. You might be okay. But to your point, there's no evidence that you're okay yet.
Right.
That's kind of where you are.
And you hate to
if you're making a bet.
Right. And you hate to necessarily put that on a rookie, but at least it gives you a chance if you're able to get in the second round. You know, you've seen like Luther Burden,
right?
Is a guy that will probably be there that maybe would fit in terms from a player standpoint. There's some character things with Burden, but that's still not ideal. But at least that's a really talented player.
Right.
And again, if they do it at 5, or they trade back and take one in the first round, whether that's Tet or whether that's Golden,
right.
Somebody like that, then at least you feel like you've got some insurance there.
All right. So there's an A- on our list of needs. That's a high grade for the needs of that position. Tomorrow we are going to combine the running back room and the tight end room. That's going to be our Thursday program. Friday we're going to do the offensive line room. Okay, and then we'll get to the defensive spots next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, linebackers, secondary. So that's what we're going to do. So tomorrow we will combine the running back room and the tight end room, and we'll go through them just like we did there. We'll go through the entire roster, what they mean, the future of those guys. And by the way, one other thing, I wanted to get to age here. Well, the one thing you have is 3 pretty young guys.
Correct.
Or 4 pretty. Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, even Gabe Davis. You don't have any old guys. So no one's getting long in the tooth, okay? But that's what we're going to do. So today, wide receiver, we're going to put a grade of A- on the need, which means it's a very high need. Tomorrow, we will combine running back room and tight end room. Friday, offensive line room, the defensive positions next week. We'll take a break. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
It's truck season again at Nimnick Chevrolet, and this month you can save up to $12,000 off a new Silverado or get financing rates as low as 2.9%. Now, unlike most dealerships, Nimnick Chevrolet has the largest inventory on the ground, ready for you to explore. And with their extensive selection, you're sure to find your perfect truck at Nimnick. And available now, the all-new Silverado EV is designed to go the difference. The Silverado EV boasts 440 miles of range, more standard range than any competitor. And ask about low-rate financing and $7,500 instant cash savings on EV. Remember, Nimnick will always give you top dollar for your trade, and for a limited time, up to an additional $3,000 in trade assistance. That is a great deal. So remember, who's got more Silverados at the best prices? Nobody but Nimnick. That's Nimnick Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
This is 1010XL.
Go Gators. Go Gators. Go Gators.
Your Gator Nation radio station. Go Gators.
I'm Julie Harrell. I grew up here in Jacksonville and have seen our city grow as well as the number of car crashes. If you need help after a crash, choose a law firm with an actual office here. Lawyers you can meet with face-to-face and who specialize in personal injury. At Harrell & Harrell, we've been here for nearly 40 years, developing relationships with local doctors, law enforcement, helping people just like you. If you've been injured in a crash, call Harrell & Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and
you back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Direct from Broadway, MJ, the Tony Award-winning musical, is starting something all across America. Get tickets now to what the Washington Post calls a runaway hit. MJ the Musical, playing Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts April 22nd through 27th. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD. I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Awaken 180. It was an offensive-centric night for both Florida and Florida State baseball teams in each of their midweek matchups. Down in DeLand, the Gators got off to a slow start against Stetson as the Hatters got out to an early 2-1 lead after the first. By the bottom of the third, the Gators had it notched up at 4, where Stetson's scoring would halt. The Gators would go on a huge run, led by utility man Bobby Bozer's hat trick of home runs. The Gators ended up run-ruling them, going up 10 in the 7th inning for a final score of 14-4. Florida State beat the doors off USF 19-0 last night, thanks to a 7-run first inning and 8-run fifth inning, with 8 Noles players having multi-hit games on a 20-hit team total evening. It's 75 degrees at 5 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back to a Coyle & Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it, too.
I promise you, the fences that they build over at Coyle & Sons are built to last, since 1927. Trust me, they know what they're doing. I told you about how they've built our batter's eye, and it's just fantastic. But that's kind of what they do. They customize what you need, and it's more than fencing. It's now commercial fencing and residential fencing. Overhead doors for your business, they've got that. The bathroom partitions, if you're building out a building, they've got that. In fact, you owe it to yourself to call them if you're in the construction process at all. 904-356-4821 and find out what they can do. You can learn more about them at CoyleJacks.com. That's C-O-Y-L-E, Jacks.com. A Coyle & Sons Fencing Wednesday, and that's always the way it is around here. Frangie and Carlyon LaSelva with you. I said this at the top of the program. I am so thrilled for Charlie Ward to become the head basketball coach at FAMU. Wouldn't it be great if he became, no disrespect to FAMU, good for him, and that's, he's from Thomasville. He went to FSU. He's been in that area his whole life, other than when he played for the Knicks and was a very good point guard on some very good Knicks teams. Wouldn't it be great if he, really made it, and you looked up, and all of a sudden he's coaching here, there, and everywhere, and maybe one day even the alma mater? I mean, wouldn't that be great if you look up and Charlie Ward is one day the head basketball coach at Florida State?
It'd be incredible. Maybe it'll be Charlie Ward and Dion coaching football.
How about that?
Yeah.
I just always felt like Charlie didn't get his due since, and part of it's because he went and played basketball. I just always felt like we don't talk about him, and it seems like there's way more conversation in our lives. Now, it's way more recent. He's 20 years later. I understand that. But it seems like there's way more conversation about Jameis Winston, and he's still playing. I get that. But then there is about Charlie Ward. Dion's not still playing. It just seems to me Charlie Ward is this mega great player, chose basketball over football, good NBA player, good point guard. I mean, played in New York.
Played for over a decade in the league.
Yeah. It just do you feel that way, or is that just am I just stuck on that a little bit?
I do feel that way, that he doesn't get talked about all that often, which is a surprise because he was the complete face of the 93 national championship team for FSU. I mean, obviously they had incredible talent, but it wasn't like you could sort of understand Chris Leak in 06 not being necessarily the face of that title team, although I probably was, because he had to split reps with Tebow. I mean, Charlie Ward, he was the heart and soul of that team and made some spectacular clutch plays, to win that title. So, yeah, I am a little surprised that we don't hear him come up more. But like you said, he ended up not doing anything in the NFL, so that hurts. In terms of remembering players, it's probably, to your point, it's probably why Jameis Winston is a little bit more, resonates a little bit more, and he's more current. But, I mean, Charlie Ward, there's no reason that he shouldn't be. And I know FSU fans love him. I mean, obviously
no question.
He's immortal. But yeah, I would say for the general college football fan, when you're having a discussion about the greats, and he doesn't come up, point. And he should come up.
Yeah, you don't see. I don't know if he's in the Nissan commercials or not.
Yeah, and part of that, again, like we talked about, he's not a self-promoter. Yeah. So maybe part of it is he's always been a very humble guy and doesn't seek out the spotlight.
He won the national championship at FSU, the school's first ever. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1993. He won the Maxwell Award. He won the Davy O'Brien Award. He led them, as I said, to their first ever national championship. He later went on to play 10 years in the NBA, including making the finals at one point. It's just pretty amazing stuff, all the stuff that he's done. So he's now the head coach at FAMU. I have no idea if he's a good coach. I hope he is. I wouldn't imagine he'd get the job if you weren't a pretty good coach.
I would think with his experience that, and certainly his integrity is off the charts. So I think he'd be an excellent coach.
Yeah, he's a very soft-spoken guy. He is But anyway, good for Charlie Ward, the head coach at Florida A&M. I think it's kind of cool stuff. All right, other things we'll talk about. We were laughing during the break. So Florida wins the national championship in basketball, the national championship. And it's kind of funny, but it's kind of what have you done for me lately? And it looks like they have a chance to have a really good team again next year. It's not like after the back-to-back titles in 06-07 when there was a rebuild coming. They've got a lot of good players back. But this guy from Princeton named Xavier Lee is a transfer from Princeton. He's from Canada originally, but made his way to Pennsylvania to play with Houck's high school team. And he's visited, he had it down to Kansas, St. John's in Florida. Now it's St. John's in Florida from everything you read. He's going to pick one of them. And he's really good now. He's an NBA player.
Just was in Gainesville.
Yeah, he just visited. So, but if you watch his tape, I mean, you can see he will have the Walter Clayton Jr. effect. I don't know if he'll be that good, but he'll make them better right out of the gate. He's a scoring point guard. He's taller. He's 6'4". He's more of a dominate the ball guy. But the point is, where we've gone in college sports fandom, we used to sit with bated breath to see if the 5-star running back from Apopka was coming, right? And you waited for February 8th or February 6th or February 4th because that was signing. There was no early signing day. There was no, and you just were you getting Sammy Smith or not? Were you getting Emmitt Smith? That was, and now we're waiting on, are you getting this 22-year-old college guy? Isn't it crazy how that's changed? I'm trying to remember if, whether it's Florida fans, FSU fans, Georgia fans, whoever, have we locked in on portal guys before? Have we waited with bated breath for portal guys before in either of the sports? I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember. I want to say that.
Was there?
And you're talking about 10 years ago, or just in recent years?
Florida. Florida State, and Georgia.
I think Florida State, the Jared Verse thing was pretty big.
I didn't even know. Did they knew he'd be a star, and they were just waiting to see if they got him?
I thought that's what I remember.
See, I didn't. I know when they got him, they were happy. But to me, it was.
And
more
I think Keon Coleman, they were like, that was a big one for FSU.
Then maybe
football.
because I don't follow FSU as close as I do Florida's, why I didn't know. No, they were big when they got them. They were. What I didn't remember is, were they waiting in hopes that they would beat who did they beat? You know what I mean? That's what I know. They were big when they got them. And Mike Norvell did a great job of mining that portal. That's why his team went 13-0 until the bowl game. But I'm just wondering. I'm thinking about
Miami Cam Ward.
Yeah, well, now you know what?
Although that one was,
but that's a good call. Miami and FSU were both waiting with bated breath. That's a good call. They all waited for Cam Ward, didn't they? JJ, were you caught up in where we get Cam Ward stuff at all?
Yeah, but I didn't really watch him at Washington State, so I wasn't like, this guy's going to be a for sure thing.
Yeah.
But compared to what they had, because remember, he was supposed to go to the NFL, and it looked like Miami missed out, and everybody was disappointed.
That's right. And so you didn't watch him at Washington State. Well, we didn't watch this guy at Princeton. But once he got on the radar, Cam Ward's a great call. I'd forgotten about Cam Ward, but that was a transfer that the teams in it sat around and waited the way we used to wait for high school football players. That's a really good. I had not thought that's a great call. And so I'm trying to think: is there anybody else? Was there anybody this year in football? I'm trying to think that you waited to see who they were, because it almost seems like football. You go in the portal, boom, you got your team.
Correct.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, because now I think like Mateer was the best quarterback in the portal, but he went to Oklahoma
right out of the gate
immediately.
Yeah. So there's no waiting and wondering.
Right. It doesn't seem like there's.
I was just like checking off quarterbacks, like who's still there,
right.
Because Beck wasn't till later on.
And when
like
Beck
Cam
left,
Ward.
he knew immediately it was Miami.
It was like the day of.
Yeah, because Carson Beck's season began with, this is clearly his last college year. He'll be a very high draft pick in the 25 draft. And then there was injuries, and then he didn't play as well. And the next thing you know, he may not be in the draft. And then you started hearing whispers that he was in the portal, and boom, he's at Miami. I mean, that was fast.
And boy, what a wasted opportunity for Carson Beck, because this quarterback class was there for the taking.
It was.
If he had a huge year.
Yeah.
And, he didn't. And now we'll see at Miami, what happens and how his draft his stock is affected a year from now. Maybe he'll go number one, and it won't matter. Yeah. But anyway, it's certainly.
It's just the world we're in now.
It's the world we're in now.
I mean, now look, you wait around on the big time prospects still,
right?
Well, I mean, everybody waits around on the big time high school prospects.
Well, and the technology is such that if it was maybe, I don't know, certainly in the heyday of recruiting in February, so like 20 years ago, you couldn't go to YouTube and watch a 9-minute video of a guy.
Right.
Whereas now it's like, Xavier Lee. Okay, let's
Go see what he
Let's
is.
go see what this guy looks like.
That's a
And
very good point.
You walk away after 9 minutes feeling like you've seen his entire career.
Yeah, and final thought, speaking of the portal, Nico didn't wait long. Looks like he's headed to UCLA. So, which makes you wonder if that was the plan all along. If for the fact that all this, he skipped practice 2 days ago, and now he's enrolling at UCLA, you have to believe that was already done.
I don't know. I saw a lot of teams that were being reported to be like UNC last night. There was Tulane today. Yeah, there was teams that were like in the mix that took themselves out. So I think that they knew that they probably had like a few spots.
Okay.
But not necessarily just straight to UCLA.
All this.
Because imagine, like, why would you pick UCLA? That's terrible.
All this does for me is confirm what I've already suspected, which is UCLA is not serious about football.
Right. Because they.
It's just they're just not.
And we didn't do the parallel, but I'm now trying to find out. I've lost track of where Jaden Rashada landed.
But I think a visit to Western Kentucky.
I think he went. I don't know if this is. I can't confirm this. I've made some calls. I think he landed at Middleburg High. I think he's going to play for the Broncos. That's the last thing I heard.
Broncos would take him.
They might not take him. So, but Jaden Rashada, who was all that. What happened? I remember when I saw tape of him in one of those All-Star games, and I said, and this isn't sour grapes. I said this when he was going to Florida. Do you remember this? I said, I don't think he's very good. No, I didn't see it. I have this thing for watching quarterbacks on tape. I don't know if I'm any good at it, but I know it's a hobby. I remember watching him going, that's the guy? That's the guy that the Miami and the Canes and the Gators were fighting over? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so where did he land? Is it Western Kentucky?
He took a visit to Western Kentucky, but again, one of the funniest things that happened last football season is one of my buddies has a friend on the Georgia staff, and he asked him about Rashada.
Yeah.
And the staff member said, we don't trust him to take out the trash.
Really?
Like, he was awful.
Well, I will tell you.
Awful.
Yeah,
at Georgia. At Georgia.
Well, yeah.
So, I think they basically realized right out of the gate that he was a total zero.
Right.
And we're like, he was never in Georgia's plan.
That's Georgia. That's the best roster in America
I was surprised
for all these
he even
years.
went to Georgia.
Yeah, well,
but then it was confirmed that that was a miss.
I would
Kirby
like
Smart.
to think that Kirby Smart brought in the guy that recommended him, fired him,
right,
rehired him so he could fire him again.
Right.
Goodness gracious. So anyway, we'll see. All right, let's take a break. We got headlines on the other side. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Radio for Jacksonville by people who live and love Jacksonville.
That's right. That's exactly what it means.
1010XL. Bold City Radio.
Get ready for the best prices ever on all diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets at Beard's Diamonds. For 7 days, April 21st through 27th, you will get up to 40% off. Yes, 40%. Locally owned Beard's Diamonds always beats the big corporate store prices. But next week, they're taking value to a whole new level. All diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets are on sale. Big time. Best prices ever. You save up to 40%. Don't miss this first time ever buying opportunity. Next week only, and only at Beard's Diamonds, St. John's Town Center. Shop local, shop Beard's.
When it's time for new tires, you can count on Big Chief Tire for quality and value. Frank Frangie here. Their expert team will help you quickly find the right fit, ensuring a safe, comfortable ride. With quality options, fair prices, and quick installation, you'll be back on the road in no time. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 today to schedule your appointment and roll into 2025 with great confidence. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Hi,
I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local women-owned solar company. At Clay Solar, we're more than just panels and power. We're about people. We make the switch to clean energy simple, stress-free, and built to last. If you've had a bad experience with solar in the past, we can help. We specialize in dependable solutions and top-notch customer service, so you can finally enjoy the savings and sustainability you deserve. Schedule your free consultation at claysolar.com.
When persistent plumbing problems leave you feeling flushed, don't panic. Call Roland Reich. They quote all pricing in advance, so your only surprise is how quickly they'll solve your issue. Roland Reich Plumbing. PlumbingJacksonville.com.
Poker players, the Run Good Poker Series is coming to Best Bet Jacksonville from April 24th to May 4th with 10 poker events, including the $1,200 main event, hosting a $300,000 guaranteed prize pool, and event number 1, a $400 no-limit hold'em tourney with a $200,000 guarantee. The action is non-stop. One in, win your seat through satellite starting April 4th at Best Bet Jacksonville. For all the Run Good Series structures and details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Get to know positions and players. The 1010XL Ultimate Draft Guide is brought to you by Blue Haven Pools, the #1 pool builder in Jacksonville. Follow rankings and roundtables as the draft takes shape. Go to 1010XL.com/2025 draft guide to get yours.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hays. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread. Carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
Enjoy a great day of golf and support Eagles View Academy Athletics. Friday, May 2nd at the newly renovated Bent Creek Golf Course. 8:30 shotgun start, best ball format. Find out more at EVAWarriorsathletics.com.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks! Go Sharks!
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round. It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
You better believe our good buddy Holt Harrell is still basking in a national championship for the Florida Gators. Give him a call at 251-1111. Hopefully you won't need them. Hopefully you won't get injured. But if you do, that is who you need to put your trust into. Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank Frangie is here. We've got JJ LaSelva. I am Hays Carlyon. And Frank, we are going to start With those national champions, Florida sophomore Alex Condon declares for the NBA draft, but maintains collegiate eligibility. Condon is considered a potential late first-round pick after averaging 10.6 points and 7.5 rebounds a game for the national champs. He has until May 28th to withdraw. Condon told ESPN he will return to UF if he forgoes the NBA, and he is hoping to get feedback of being somewhere between 15 and 30.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he comes out, but he's doing the right thing. If you have a chance to be a first rounder, you should test the waters. And I would imagine Todd Golden, as he did with Walter Clayton Jr. last year and Will Richard, has encouraged him to test the waters. You want to know where you are. You want to learn where you are in your game. And by the way, if he gets the kind of feedback that tells him to go, good for him. He's been a wonderful Gator, participated or contributed an awful lot to a national title, and I hope he's great in the pros. I hope he hears what he wants to hear. But my opinion is that he's probably going to come back for one more year and really help himself the way Walter Clayton Jr. did. So he's doing the right thing. He's doing it the right way. But my guess is Alex Condon will be in a Florida uniform next year. And by the way, he loves being there. He loves going to school there. And the other part of that, too, and I know you know this, first round money in the NBA is guaranteed. Second round money is not. So the difference between being the last pick in the first round and the third pick in the second round is a significant. You won't get nearly the money. He could get 7 figures to come back. That would not surprise me. He could get for a 1-year deal for 7 figures. In fact, I'll bet that's. I'll bet he does. I'll bet he gets 7 figures to come back to Florida. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I mean, in terms of retention, which is where the world is gone in Gainesville, I would say on that team, yeah, he's by far your number one priority.
Well, if you've got $6 or $7 million to spend in basketball, if Xavier Lee costs you $1.5 million, I'm guessing, and Alex Condon cost you $1 million to come back, you still got $4 million to spread. So Thomas Houck's going to get a bunch.
You're going to bump Houck. You're going to bump Chinley Lou. Aberdeen will get a bump.
But you got a bunch of money to pay the rest of them. Right. That's a lot of money. I mean, $500,000 for a college kid is a bunch of money. So I'll bet you he gets 7 figures to come back, and I'll bet he winds up in games.
I would agree. I would put it at like 65% that he returns is where I think it stands. But it'll be interesting, and we're going to have to sweat it out until May 28th.
But let me say this. I hope he comes back because they'll be really good if he. But if he gets, if he finds out that he's going to be a top 25 pick, good for him. They still have a good team coming back. They still have a bunch of good front court guys, and so I get it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Duke freshman star Con Knippel is entering the draft, and he will forego returning to college. He averaged 14.4 points per game this season and is considered a top 10 pick.
Top 5-8 every mock I've seen. Somewhere between 5 and 8, 5 and 9, almost everywhere you see. He's a very good player. He's a quintessential NBA guy, a 6'7" guy, long arms, very good shooter, great range on his shot. The NBA falls in love with that guy, so he should be in the NBA.
If Duke doesn't choke against Houston, do the Gators beat Duke in the final?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Duke had the most talent of anybody. They would have tried to run with Florida. It would have been an entirely different game. Teams that try to run with Florida, like Alabama, don't do very well. Team like Kentucky, and that was early in the year, runs with them and is long. I'm going to take the 5th. I don't know because I don't want Gator fan mad at me. I don't know if they'd have beaten Duke. But here's the bottom line. Here's what I'll tell you. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I think that would have been a hard matchup for Florida. That's what I think. But I also, in my bracket, I picked Florida to beat Houston because I thought one of those veteran teams would get Duke somewhere along the line. I said it was Alabama, and I was wrong. But I thought one of those older veteran teams would wind up beating Duke, and one of them did.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier in the show. FAMU hiring Charlie Ward to be its men's basketball coach. The 54-year-old former Heisman Trophy winner at Florida State played in the NBA for over a decade. That is a fantastic hire for the Rattlers.
Again, for Gator fans, that's the Seminole version of Danny Werfel. For Seminole fans, Danny Werfel is the Gator version of Charlie Ward. Spiritual, soft-spoken, great player. Won all the accolades, and I'm glad he's going to be in the fight. And again, I don't know much about him as a basketball coach. He played in the league for 10 years. He was an assistant in the NBA for 3 years. Then got out of it. Then went back into high school coaching for a long time. I hope Charlie does great at FAMU.
I do too. Let's get it to the NFL draft. Mel Kiper Jr. and Field Yates of ESPN teamed up for a 3-round mock draft. They have the Jaguars going Mason Graham at 5, followed by Luther Burden, the Missouri receiver, in the second round. And then with the 2 third-rounders going Texas safety Andrew Mukuba and Louisville corner Quincy Riley in the third round. So this kind of surprised me. Not as many big guys in the first 3 rounds. I mean, Mason Graham, but then the next 3 picks, all more skill guys.
Well, I'll tell you this. The 3 positions that I have identified for 2 or 3 months in my mind are defensive tackle, cornerback, and wide receiver in some, and I've been saying that forever. So that's what they said. The safety is interesting, and they need a safety, but I would not be surprised. Mason Graham and Luther Burden, I'd take that 1-2 right now, by the way, because if Burden gets everything figured out, he's a good player.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised by that mock at all.
Dane Brugler has a 7-round mock out at The Athletic, and we won't go into necessarily every specific pick, but one thing that struck me, Frank, he has the Jaguars taking Ashton Genty with the 5th
Well,
pick.
I was going to get to that. I was going to do that in our last segment. That has really gained steam. And in fact, that's what I'm going to talk about in our last segment. Then we're going to talk about it tomorrow, because tomorrow's the day we get into the running backs room and the tight ends room. That thing has really gained steam. I mean, almost like a tidal wave. Now, we'll see if there's any truth to it or not. But that thing, that's a runaway train that I did not see coming. I've been telling people, there's no way I think it's running back. But there's an awful lot of smart people in the media and in the surrounding areas that seem to think it is. I don't know what the team thinks, but that thing has gained steam, Hayes. So I've almost gotten to where now it would not surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue in terms of best player. I mean, assuming Hunter and Carter aren't there.
He's the other one.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. It's just all the other areas of roster construction where it leaves something to be desired if they go that route. But we will see. Brugler went on to have the Jaguars going after Ashton Genty. Corner, safety, tight end. So, again, that would mean absolutely no big guys in the first 3 rounds for the Jaguars, which would really surprise me.
Here's one thing I will tell you. If they don't get a defensive tackle high, they're rolling the dice. The reality is maybe Devon Hamilton can re-find his form since before the illness. Maybe there's something left with Eric Armstead. Maybe Mason Smith really does emerge into what they think. And I know the staff likes him. Maybe Tyler Lacey and Jordan Jefferson, the older they get, the more they come of age. But you're rolling the dice now because you have question marks there. You have answers at a lot of the spots. Maybe not depth, but you have answers at a lot of the starting spots, Hayes. You have some question marks there.
Let's get into college football. The Athletic's Bruce Feldman is reporting that former Tennessee quarterback Nico Amaleavin Tennessee will be transferring to UCLA. The Bruins were 5-7 last season.
Yeah, look, if you, and I'll say it again, if that's where you landed, thought one is that they're going to pay you the most money.
It's not going to go very far in California.
Yeah, I'm honestly, my thought on that is he's not particularly sought after. I mean, listen, if you go to UCLA, he's a West Coast guy. If you go to UCLA, here's what it tells me. It tells me that Oregon and USC and Washington and Arizona State and the rest didn't want him. That's what you're going to a really dead football program. Now, unless he plans on playing basketball in the offseason, he's going to a program that doesn't have much going on. So that tells me the fact that it happened this quickly and that it's UCLA, that there wasn't much of a market for him. I really believe that.
I agree. And I don't think you're going to see him ever playing another big game. I mean, I don't think UCLA, they were lucky to win 5 last year. I'd be surprised if they get even back to 5 this year.
Same.
So that wraps up that story. To the NBA, the Magic crushed the Hawks last night, 120-95 in the play-in game. Cole Anthony scored 26 off the bench. Orlando is now the 7th seed and will take on 2nd-seeded Boston. Game 1 of that series is set for Sunday at 3:30.
Yeah, people that follow it closer than me, JJ and I talked about it at the top, don't think the Magic have much of a chance to dent the Celtics, who are one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the league. But they're playing. You know, it's been a long time since the Magic have played relevant games in April and May, and certainly not in June, so they're playing. Good for them.
Yeah, they have a puncher's chance, which is better than some teams. Golden State defeated Memphis 121-116 in last night's West play-in game. Jimmy Butler scored 38, while Steph Curry added 37 and was especially clutch late. The Warriors move on to face number 2 Houston in the West.
You know, it's interesting. JJ, you were saying earlier that the Warriors are maybe a betting favorite in that thing, even though it's a 7 versus a 2.
A pretty big favorite,
yeah. Here, I told JJ this at the top, Hays. The Warriors were great. Usually great teams get old and go away. Or they never get old because they get a bunch of young guys and keep on doing it. The Warriors are in between because Steph's still there and he's still Steph. They haven't completely gone away. And Butler will help because he's a very good player, but they haven't gone and gotten young either. Remember, Andrew Wiggins you thought would be a factor. So they didn't go get young and replenish, and they didn't die and go away, so they're kind of hanging in the...
They did try. Remember what that one year they were really bad and they got the first pick?
Yes.
They got Wiseman.
Right.
And that was supposed to be like, hey, we're mixing in old guys with new guys, but he was just terrible. He never worked out.
7-1
bad
center.
draft pick.
Yeah, he really was. And so they're kind of wandering in that abyss right now, hanging around because anytime you got the best shooter in the history of the league, you have a puncher's chance.
I turned on the game last night with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I was like, Jimmy Butler plays for Golden State now. How about that?
You know what?
That did just happen.
You know what?
Be fair to you.
Right. The only reason I knew that is because of all the Jimmy Butler controversy.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if I'd have turned it on, there'd have been 5 other guys that I had no idea were there. So I'm kind of right with you.
I may try to watch a little bit of the action tonight. Miami travels to Chicago in an elimination game because that's the 9 and 10 in the East. So the winner will play the Hawks for the final spot in the East. The loser tonight, they're just done for the year. In the West, you get Dallas going to Sacramento in the final West playing game with Memphis awaiting the winner there.
You know, I would ask you if you thought Dwayne Wade could hang with MJ, but that joke's gotten so old now.
I love it,
It's just, I've probably stripped the screw on that one a little bit.
One thing we know is we will not be seeing Luka tonight when the Mavericks compete in the play-in game. Let's get to Major League Baseball. ESPN's Jeff Passan did a lengthy feature on Pittsburgh star Paul Skeens. I know you haven't had a chance to read it yet, but just what kind of person is he from your vantage point?
The real, first of all, he's everything every team wants. He's a really hard worker. He's a really good person. He's embraced that Pittsburgh community. Yeah, I think he's the best starting pitcher in baseball already. He's undoubtedly among them. So there's so much good. The sadness is this is a mega star on a team that did nothing to get better around him. It's not very good. And this isn't basketball where if you got LeBron and there's only 5 guys playing, he can lift the Cavs to a finals appearance even though there's nobody else good on the team. This is baseball. And so
he only gets to play every 5 days.
Correct. And he might lose those games because he might lose some games 1-0. And so it's a sad story. As much as I love the Pittsburgh Pirates and watch every game, I'll be watching again tonight. I watched last night. I saw all 4 Pirates hits in this second shutout in the last 3 games.
Wow.
But it's a shame. It is for him. It's a shame that at least until the first 5-6 years while they have his rights, he won't be pitching for a team that anybody cares about. That's a shame. But he's everything good that's about pro sports. He really is. He handles himself the right way. He's got the rock star girlfriend. He's a rock star himself. He does everything the right way. So I haven't read the story, but I'm sure that's what it'll say.
And local media, Frank, I know you're a busy guy with the podcast. You do a Gators one with Hicken. You joined Mia for Duval Rundown yesterday, but you also did another podcast. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, Daniel Davis, who's a wonderful guy, is the head of the chamber, and he and TJ Ward do they call it a speakeasy. They talk to people in Jacksonville. They did Mark Lamping. They've done Mark Brunell. They did Tabitha Furyk, Jim Furyk's wife, and they wanted to talk to me. So and I was honored to be part of it. And they kind of ask your story and how you became what you became, whatever that is. And it was fun to talk about the old days and how it all got going and the Times Union days and how we all together built 1010XL and even a lot about walk-offs. So, it was fun doing it. I was honored to be part of it, and Daniel's a good guy, and TJ, I had not met him, is a wonderful guy, and the chamber does a lot of good things, so I appreciate you asking about it. It was a lot of fun.
Sure, and available on social?
It's available on social. YouTube is Speakeasy Jacks is what it is, Speakeasy Jacks. And it was fun doing it. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. We will get you guys out with a musical. Actually, hang on. I jumped the gun.
Okay,
I apologize.
okay. We got time.
Because before we get to music,
audibles are allowed.
I've got a happy birthday wish to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who turned 78 years old today, a 6-time MVP, and 6-time world champion. Abdul-Jabbar averaged 24.2 points per game and 11.2 rebounds a game in his 20-year NBA career. He was also a gifted actor who gave us this.
I think you're the greatest, but my dad says you don't work hard enough on defense. And he says that lots of times you don't even run down court. And that you don't really try, except during the playoffs.
The hell I don't. Listen, kid. I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes.
Spectacular. If you have not seen the movie Airplane.
I will tell you this.
Put it at the top of your list.
Maybe because I'm a sports guy. Of all the magnificent lines in Airplane, that's still my favorite. And honest to God, if you went through all the Peter Graves and all the Leslie Nielsen and all the Robert Hays, you went through all the lines, it'd take hours to get through them all.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite. That's still my favorite moment in the movie.
It is fantastic. He does such a great job. And happy birthday, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's awesome.
Now we will get you out with our musical note of the day. Today we are celebrating the King because on this date back in 1972, Elvis Presley performed at the Jacksonville Coliseum. He performed a 19-song set, including this one. This is All Shook Up.
I think I told you this. I think that was the one. Maybe it was later. No, I think it wasn't late. It was probably later. But my mom saw him at the Coliseum. My mom and her best friend saw him at the Coliseum. I think it was probably later. But so I've never seen The King. My mom saw him.
That's awesome.
And The King is fantastic. Well done as always. Great work.
Thank you.
Back to wrap up the program after this.
I'm all shook up.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
PGA Tour playing its traditional tournament following the Masters at Augusta National. It's the RBC Heritage at Harbortown Golf Links in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Scotty Scheffler is the defending champion. He's also the betting favorite to repeat at plus 425. It has one of the stronger tournament fields for a non-major event. Colin Morikawa is plus 1,000 to win. Ludwig Oberg with a good showing at the Masters, plus 1,400. Xander Schauffele, a two-time major winner, also at plus 1,400. Patrick Cantlay, plus 1,800. Justin Thomas at plus 2,000. Corey Connors, plus 2,500. Russell Henley, also at plus 2,500. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the G-Bank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it, or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, duckduckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
MOV, ING, Southside Kia is moving. Our moving sale is on right now. Help us clear new Kias out. Our current selection's got 200 plus Kias on the lot. Hurry to save big with us. New rides starting at just $20,000 bucks. Plus, bring your tax refund today. We'll double it up to $5K. MOV, ING, get to Southside Kia this spring. Online at SouthsideKiaJax.com. Get your next ride at Southside. For complete details, call 904-325-9208.
This is Hays Carlyon for Harold and Harold. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harold and Harold. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client. When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
It's fun to predict because it's usually unpredictable. 1010XL's draft coverage is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors and First Coast Recyclers. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive.
Tailgaters parking season passes are on sale now. Secure your Jaguar season parking today. Enjoy indoor restrooms, a full-service bar and grill, access 4 hours before kickoff. Visit tailgatorsparking.com and book your space today.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, why is it that when you look at how long a store has been in business, that it always seems to be the stores like Underwood's that sell fine quality that have been around the longest?
Frank, that's a question that really doesn't get asked a lot, but it should be. There are a number of reasons, but probably the biggest is because of the endorsements our longtime customers and their pieces of jewelry have given us through the years. You see, when you sell really fine quality jewelry, that piece will last longer and always stay beautiful. It might stay in the same family for generations, and through those years of wear, a lot of compliments will be made and a lot of people will be told where the piece of jewelry came from. You see, at a store like Underwood's, it's our stated goal to be the best jeweler in the South, not the biggest, so everything we do and carry has to help move us toward that goal. And ultimately, it's the satisfied customers wearing fine quality jewelry that have kept Underwood's in Jacksonville since 1928.
Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified and take 25% off all services. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them Hicken or 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, where we've been in the course of the program today, we've had all kind of fun stuff today. We have talked about the Jaguar draft. We're going to do a different position room in the 4 o'clock hour every day leading up to the draft. We started with the wide receiver room, what they have, what the backups are, who the starters are, and what they can do in the draft. We talked about that today. Brett Hastings stopped by for Sports and Courts and talked about the Nico situation. He now goes to UCLA. But my question was, what recourse does Tennessee have if a guy says, I'm not playing for the $2 million, even though I agreed to it? So the answer is we don't really know that question. So we certainly talked about that. We talked some college football. Hayes took us through an array of sports in headlines today, and that's where we've been over the course of the program. Talked a great deal about Charlie Ward, the brand new coach, basketball coach at FAMU, the former Heisman Trophy winner from Florida State. Hacker will join us in a minute. I think Rick's on vacation, so Hacker's going to round out the week going 6 to 8 here. The Ashton Jeanty thing's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because you need stars, and he looks, by all accounts, seems to be a real star. By all accounts, the 3 best players in the draft, and there doesn't seem to be much debate about this now, is in whatever order: Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, and Abdul Carter. And I think that seems to be a consensus almost on every front. So if that's the case, and you have a chance to get one of the 3 great players in the draft, now I don't know that he'll be there, but because people don't like to take running backs high, he could. And so, I mean, right now, I think if most mocks you look at, people mix it up a little bit, but I think for the most part, most mocks will have Cam Ward 1, and if you don't have Shedeur Sanders going up, some combination of Hunter and Carter after that, and then who knows, right? I think most mocks will lock in on Ward, Hunter, Carter, or Ward, Carter, Hunter, and I think almost everywhere you look, that's where we'll be, right? So then it becomes a wild run now, starting with pick number 4, which is the Patriots.
It really does, and we think the Patriots will look at Will Campbell.
That seems to be where the narrative is.
Yeah, they had the worst offensive line in the NFL arguably last year, so it makes sense that they would go offensive line, and then Jeanty is there. The Raiders are praying, at least their fan base. It seems like they're very high on getting Ashton Jeanty. Dane Brugler of The Athletic does such a great job with the Beast, and he has all the information you could ever want on all these prospects. He had a couple stats on Jeanty that were remarkable. So Ashton Jeanty led FBS last year with 151 forced missed tackles.
Wow.
That was 57 more than the second best guy.
How about that?
He also had 12 carries of over 50 yards. No one else in Division I had more than 5. So he not only was the best running back in college football, I mean, he was stratospherically the best, which, again, we knew the gaudy numbers. We knew he chased Barry Sanders, but that's pretty special when you put it in, particularly when you consider how deep this running back group is. It'd be one thing if Jeanty was a superstar, but the running back crop wasn't a particularly good one.
Right.
It's a loaded running back class, and this is how much better he was than everybody else in college football.
Okay. All right. You're on the clock. Campbell,
I wouldn't do it.
Campbell, let me ask a question, please. Interrupted me. Campbell goes 4th. What are you doing?
I'd probably take I'm going to take a big guy. I mean, I'm taking Mason Graham. I'm thinking about an offensive lineman, if that's Armand Membo, maybe Banks, the Texas kid.
I'm taking Mason Graham.
I'd probably defer
because I still think if you take Mason Graham, you filled a hole. If he's I think he's going to be a really good player, by the way. I know he's smaller, but I think he's a good player. You filled a hole that I think is a very clear hole. I do. And it's a good draft for defensive linemen, by the way. But I think it's I don't want to say he's a sure thing. I would be very surprised, barring injury, 8 to 10 years from now, that Mason Graham wasn't a damn good defensive player in the NFL. I don't know that he's a star. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald, but I would be very surprised if you look up in 2030 and he didn't turn out to be a pretty good player. I would really say. Now, I feel that's the way about Ashton Jeanty, too, by the way.
Right.
But I would be very surprised.
Well, and again, defensively, they really haven't done – well, they've done nothing in terms of front seven. They've added they've added some secondary pieces, but from that standpoint, if you add Mason Graham, okay, now you've given your defense a nice acquisition. I mean, again, you were lousy defensively last year, and that may have been somewhat the coordinator, but you can't just put all of that on the coordinator.
Right.
You can't just say, well, now that we've got a new coordinator, we're going to go in most of these significant numbers from the late 20s, 30s, into an average group. So, I mean, you got to obviously help your personnel, and Mason Graham, you would think, would do that.
All right, let's say hello to Hacker.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, Will Campbell to the Patriots 4. You're on the clock. What are you doing?
I think I'm going to be boring and take Mason Graham.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
I think I don't want to overthink it. I've been thinking Ashton Genty, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, but I almost think I'm overthinking it. I think Mason Graham is just the obvious pick.
See, I think that too, Hack. But Hayes and I just talked about it. The Ashton Genty thing is getting a lot of run.
It is.
Now, maybe that's just people on the periphery wanting to say something different, but that thing's getting a lot of run, so it'll be interesting to see.
If you think he's Saquon Barkley or if you think he's Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, I mean, odds are if you go in the top 10 as a running back, at least as of late, you're going to be a pretty good player. We're not exactly into the Kajana Carter, Curtis Enos time frame where top 5 running backs didn't work out.
And running backs have reemerged. The importance of a running back is reemerged. It's weird it's funny how the league is. I can tell you in the 80s and 90s, people thought receivers were a dime a dozen. You didn't spend a big pick on them. Well, now that became running backs of late, but that's turning a little bit, isn't it? That all of a sudden running backs seem to matter.
Look at all the free agents. Not only Saquon, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon. All those guys with their new teams last year were awesome.
What's coming up tonight?
Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about the Jaguars. Leon Searcy's going to join me. I always like to have Leon on the week before the draft just to kind of get his thoughts for the evening audience. And then we're not going to detour too far away from SEC Spring Ball. We'll wrap up Florida Spring with Mike Bratton. He does that SEC podcast. Really enjoy Mike's work. We'll talk about Nico in Knoxville. So we got a lot coming up. And we're going to celebrate an Orlando Magic playoff run.
Oh, I forgot about
Magic
that.
Are in. That was big last night.
How did you not lead with that?
Oh, man.
That ought to be 4 or 5 segments of the program.
We got
tonight.
Trae Young so fired up. He got tossed with 4 minutes to go. It was a beautiful evening.
Hayes, as I say, the joke I used way too much. Hacker and I were doing the show last week, and I did my standard, hey, how are Nick Anderson and Jeff Turner doing? Hacker wanted nothing to do with it. He goes, they're gone. And, and it's like, okay, Frank, that joke's really not funny anymore. So anyway, Hacker Nation goes into the night. And Hacker After Dark comes up right after this. Thanks,
guys.
We appreciate that. Hacker will be sitting in for Rick Ballou, who goes into the night. He's got the next 3 days off. We'll be back tomorrow, same bad time, same bad channel. We'll look at the running back and tight end room and how the draft might affect that. We'll do that on tomorrow's program. For Hayes and JJ, I'm Frank Frangie. So long.